Let's move on to the Warlock class and look at features, spells, and boons which they have gained from this book right here. So there they mention the Warlock class features here at the top and then talk about the Warlock spells. So here we can see cantrips, Booming Blade, Green Flame Blade, Lightning Lure, Mind Sliver, and Sword Burst. Some of those you may have already seen before. So it looks like nothing at levels 1 and 2, kind of unusual. They usually hit the lower levels harder. But at third level, Intellect Fortress, Spirit Shroud, Summon Fae, Summon Shadow Spawn, and Summon Undead. So look at all the summon spells they're throwing in here. Fourth level, Summon Aberration. Fifth level, Mislead, Planar Binding, Teleportation Circle. At sixth level, Summon Fiend, and also Tasha's Otherworldly Guise. Level 7, Dream of the Blue Veil, good teleporting spell. And level 9, Blade of Disaster, big potential damage spell right there. So look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 summon spells being added. So we'll look at those here in just a second. But up here at the top, they mention a Pack Boon option at level 3. When you choose your Pack Boon feature, the following option is available to you: Pact of the Talisman. Your patron gives you an amulet, a talisman that can aid the wearer when the need is great. When the wearer fails an ability check, they can add a D4 to the roll. That's always nice, potentially turning the roll into a success. This benefit can be used a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and all expended uses are restored when you finish a long rest. If you lose the talisman, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and it destroys the previous amulet. The talisman turns to ash when you die. So adding a D4 to any failed check is going to be good. Right after this, they have a 4th level Warlock feature called Eldritch Versatility. Whenever you reach a level in this class that grants the ability score improvement feature, you can do one of the following, representing a change of focus in your occult studies. The first here, replace one cantrip you learned from this class's Pact Magic feature with another cantrip from the Warlock spell list. Second, replace the option you chose for the Pact Boon feature with one of the feature's other options. And then lastly, if you're 12th level or higher, replace one spell from your Mystic Arcanum feature with another Warlock spell of the same level. If this change makes you ineligible for any of your Eldritch invocations, you must also replace them now, choosing invocations for which you qualify. So that gives you a little bit more versatility right there. But look at all these new spells they got. Blade of Disaster. Look at this 9th level conjuration. So when you conjure up this imaginary, I should say imaginary, but altered sword of some type right here, you cast it, you make 2 melee spell attacks. Now look at this, range of 5. They do 4d12 force damage. Not that great for a 9th level spell, but notice a critical occurs on 18, 19, or 20, in which case it does 12d12 force damage. That's big. And again, you get 2 attacks. And then they tell you as a bonus action, you get 2 more. So that's potentially 4 attacks at 12d12 each. That could be huge damage if you get lucky on the rolls. Booming Blade right here, on a hit, you'll get the normal weapon effects, and then you're going to sheath the opponent in energy. If they willingly move 5 feet, they're going to take another 1d8 thunder. So if they move, more damage is coming to them. And then at higher levels, you can see you pick up additional damage. Then they have down here 7th level Conjuration, Dream of the Blue Veil. So this one right here is a good teleporting spell. Look at this, you and up to 8 willing creatures. You're going to have visions of another plane. Well, at the end of it, you're going to be transported to that world. To cast the spell, you have to have either a magic item that originated on that world, or one of the people you want to transport must have been born there. So got a few little things you got to make sure you have. You can't just transport where and when you want. Got to have a few items or somebody from that region. Then they mention Green Flame Blade. So on a hit, you're going to cover your target with green fire. You can make that fire jump to a second creature and do fire damage. And as you see, you'll get an increase in the damage as you go up in the spell levels. Intellect Fortress, like the show being used down here against this Mind Flare. This right here is going to give you resistance to psychic damage and advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. So that's a good resistance and advantage on 3 different saving throws altogether. Then they have Lightning Lure. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pulled up to 10 feet in a straight line towards you and take 1d8 lightning damage. And as you can see down here at the bottom, the damage is going to increase when you cast it as a higher level spell than mine sliver, like the show being used right up here. Your target must succeed on an intelligence saving throw or take 1d6 psychic damage and subtract 1d4 from their next saving throw. Now, considering that's a cantrip, that's big. You get the often usual 1d6 damage that a lot of them do, but being able to subtract 1d4 on a saving throw too is great. Then they have a third level necromancy called Spirit Shroud. So until this spell ends, any attack you make will deal an extra 1d8 damage, and the damage can be radiant, necrotic, or cold. Your choice right there. And as usual, you can see how the damage increases when cast at higher levels, as always. So looking down underneath this, they have Summon Aberration, 4th level conjuration spell. You call forth an aberrant spirit. It manifests in an occupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the aberrant spirit stat block below. When you cast the spell, choose either Beholderkin, Slod, or Star Spawns. You pick the one you want. The creature resembles an aberration of that kind, which determines certain traits in the block. So if we look down here, you can see it's medium size, AC 11 plus the level of the spell, hit points 40 plus 10 for every above it, so you get this up to 100. 30, you can have a flight speed of 30 and a hover with the Beholderkin. And there they show damage, immunity, psychic, dark vision out to 60. In the slot version, you get regeneration. 5 hit points at the start of each turn, if left, as long as it has at least 1 hit point. Whispering Aura with the Star Spawn. At the start of each of the aberration's turns, each creature within 5 feet of the aberration must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell DC or take 2d6 psychic damage, provided that the aberration isn't incapacitated. Then I mentioned multi-attack. The aberration makes a number of attacks equal to half the spell's level, rounded down. The claws on the slot be a melee weapon attack. They're going to do 1d10 plus 3 plus the spell's level and slashing damage. If the target is a creature, it can't regain hit points until the start of the aberration's next turn. Eye Ray on the Beholderkin only. Range spell attack, 150 feet. Going to do 1d8 plus 3 plus the spell's level and psychic damage. And then Psychic Slam for the Star Spawn only. Melee spell attack, 5 feet, doing 1d8 plus 3 plus the spell's level psychic damage. So you pick the one you want right there. The regeneration is pretty good to have on one of these summons. So after that here, we've got the Summon Fae. When you summon the Fae, you choose a mood. Fuming, Mirthful, or Tricksy. So notice that gives you different actions, just like we saw previously with that other summons. So as before, the armor class goes up, the hit points go up, depending on what spell level you use here. They have multi-attack, just like the other one. Spell level divided by 2, rounded down. Has a nice short sword attack, 1d6 plus 3, plus the spell's level piercing damage, plus another 1d6 in force damage. So with the bonus actions, Fae Step is 1. The Fae magically teleports up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space. And then depending on the mood, for the Fuming, the Fae has advantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of this turn. For the Mirthful, the Fae can force one creature it can see within 10 feet to make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. Unless the save succeeds, the target is charmed by you and the Fae for 1 minute, or until it takes damage. And then there's the Tricksy. The Fae can fill a 5-foot cube within 5 feet of it with magical darkness until the end of its next turn. Some good stuff right there. Look at this Summon Fiend, 6th level. Fiendish Spirit being a large fiend. So starts our armor class 12 plus the level. Hit points 50 for Demon, 40 for Devil, 60 for Yugoloth, and then another 15 for each spell level above 6. So you can see it has a climbing speed of 40 for the Demon, a flight of 60 for the Devil. There's the stats. Got the damage resistance as you would expect for fire, immune to poison, dark vision 60. How about this? Telepathy 60 feet. So right here for death throws for the Demon only. When the fiend drops to 0 hit points or the spell ends, the fiend explodes, and each creature within 10 feet has to make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. A creature takes 2d10 plus the spell's level fire damage on a failed save, half on successful. Devil Sight for the devil only. Magical darkness doesn't impede the fiend's dark vision. And magic resistance. The fiend has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Has multi-attack like the others. The demon has a bite attack. Does 1d12 plus 3 plus the spell's level necrotic damage. The Utiloth has claws. 1d8 plus 3 plus the spell's level slashing damage. And immediately after the attack hits or misses, the fiend can magically teleport 30 feet. And then for the devil, Hurl Flame. A ranged attack of 150. Does 2d6 plus 3 plus the spell's level fire damage. If the target is a flammable object, it is also going to catch fire. So it's funny how you have so much versatility with some of these summons. Then we have summon Shadow Spawn, 3rd level conjuration. You call forth a shadowy spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the shadow spirit stat block. When you cast the spell, you choose an emotion: fury, despair, or fear. So again, with these summons, they're giving you options as to which of the 3 you want to pick. So there's Shadow Spirit, got the usual armor class and hit points that add up for each level that you cast above the level 3 right there for it. It has a Terror Frenzy for the Fury only. So if you pick the Fury option, the Spirit has advantage on attack rolls against frightened creatures. And then for Despair only, Weight of Sorrow. Any creature other than you that starts its turn within 5 feet of the Spirit has its speed reduced by 20 feet until the start of the creature's next turn. They have multi-attack like the others, has a Chilling Rend, which is a melee weapon attack, 1d12 plus 3, plus the spell's level and cold damage, and then once a day, Dreadful Scream. The spirit screams. Each creature within 30 feet must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, or be frightened by the spirit for 1 minute. The frightened creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of its turn. And then at the last down here, they have Shadow Stealth for the fear only. While in dim light or darkness, the spirit takes the hide action. So there they mention all that as before. There's a Summon Undead. And if we look at the undeads up here, there's the usual with armor class, hit points, all the immunities you would think. Festering Aura for the putrid. So if you pick the putrid undead, any creature other than you that starts its turn within 5 feet must succeed on a con saving throw against your spell save DC or be poisoned until the start of its next turn. If you pick the ghostly, they'll get incorporeal passage. The spirit can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. If it ends its turn inside of an object, it'll be shunted to the nearest unoccupied space and take 1d10 force damage. So under this, you get a multi-attack as before, but for the ghostly, they get a Deathly Touch. It's going to do 1d8 plus 3, plus the spell's level necrotic damage, and the creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be frightened. With the skeletal form, they get Grave Bolt, a ranged attack, 2d4 plus 3, plus the spell's level and necrotic damage. And if you picked Putrid, they get Rotting Claw. So here we got a melee weapon attack, 1d6 plus 3, plus the spell's level and slashing. If the target is poisoned, it must succeed on a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC or be paralyzed. So there's that ghostly, putrid, and skeletal options that you have right there for the undead. And then right here we have Sword Burst. So here all creatures within 5 feet must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d6 force damage. So whether you're surrounded, you use this one here, and as you can see, the damage goes up with the level. So that's a lot of new spells right there. The Warlock's really racked up and got a lot of new stuff. Some of that you've probably seen before, some of it you may not. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.